Welcome to another episode. My name is Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
And what you heard is my lovely
What? What? What?
We're off to a great start,
Yes,
folks.
we are.
With me, I have my lovely co-host, Corinne.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about two movies that we recently saw. They're like a week
Within
or
the last month.
within the last month.
That's recent.
Yeah. And so we're going to just talk about it. And those films are Captain Marvel and Shazam. So there are spoilers that are going to be throughout this whole video. So
Don't listen unless you've seen both movies.
on that, in the meantime, I'm also going to be doing some illustration in the background. You know, the first question I want to ask is, we went to go see Captain Marvel.
Yeah. And you didn't like it initially.
I had
you had to digest it. I've seen it 2 more times.
Well, actually, I saw it 2 more times. I had issues with it. I felt that it was rushed. The intro sequence, the mission when they're going to that planet, it didn't flow. I felt as though there's got to be more to that sequence, or pieces of dialogue were missing, because it felt very uneven for me, and that threw me out. I was just like, oh, okay, well, I wanted a bit more, maybe seeing more of the planet, more of the world, especially the world of Hala. I didn't get too much info about that.
That's true. Yeah, there's only like 3 scenes where they're on Hala.
Yeah, there's only about 3 scenes, which, you know, that's not enough for me. And then the other thing was, and this is towards the end of the movie, she obtains she accesses her binary power. She gained all this power and everything was so easy, and I wanted maybe just a bit more fisticuff, like more of a fight. Like she was just like, if she could fight Ronan the Accuser, I would have wanted that, just to see how Ronan stacks up against her. Because
yeah, but the problem with that is that Ronan the Accuser has to be in more Marvel movies.
I mean,
she would have beat his ass.
Well, think about it this way: it took an Infinity Stone to kill Ronan, right?
Yeah.
So yes,
and the only time we see him fight is with the Infinity Stone, with the Power Stone. Well, maybe we'll see that in a sequel to Captain Marvel.
I mean, yes, they did leave it open. But so for me personally, I didn't have issues with the movie. I mean, I wanted more out of it, and I didn't get as much. It's not. Well, there's one thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, the Samuel L. Jackson and the cat thing. I didn't need. No. That's one thing I didn't like. Him losing his eye because Goose scratched it. It's just like,
the last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
Now we found out it's a cat. It's like,
it's not a cat. It's a flurkin.
Oh boy. Anyway.
It's an alien. Did you see what it did to, like? It was able to eat the Tesseract. It took out 3 dudes totally easy. I mean, that was why they had to put the restraining little muzzle thing on it. He's like, it's a cat. It's not Hannibal Lecter.
I mean, yes, you are right on that. It was.
I mean, better than I don't know, a tree branch randomly fell on his head and scratched out his eye.
Well, you know.
How does he lose it in the comics?
And to just have it be like, oh, it was a cat, and I think it goes to a larger issue that I have, maybe with just the Marvel universe. Is like it's a great universe, and I'm not coming at this because I hate it, but it's more of just, I wish that some of the choices they would make would have gravity to them. I would have been happy with, okay, this was a mission that went bad, or something terrible happened, which is why he has this cold and hard, and he's this tested guy. So anyway, but yeah, that's me ranting about the movie. What did you think?
Oh, I hated it.
Well, there you go, folks. Tune in next week.
Oh my gosh, no, I loved it. I saw it 3 times opening weekend.
Jeez.
That was partly my own fault.
Yeah.
Partly, somebody demanded, you have to get in the theater right now.
Okay, but why 3 times? Why is it?
Well, first time I went with my friend, that was the premiere on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then I went to see it again Friday, and then I went to see it again with you on Saturday.
Yeah.
So it's twice out of the 3 times I went to go see it with somebody who hadn't seen it. So I think that's fair.
I mean, like, hey, it's not as bad as me watching Transformers 10 times. Oh man.
And I mean, I guess I'm like you in that I kind of need to see a movie multiple times to process it, especially like I think I told you earlier with the whole, like, once you know the truth about Carol's origin and like what the whole deal is with her powers and the Kree, and then when you watch it the second time, it's almost like you're watching a different movie because you see how Yon-Rogg acts toward her, and you're like, oh, that was intentional. Like, that's why he's doing this. That's why he says that, is because he's trying to control her and manipulate her into using her powers, but only as the Kree want to.
Right.
Because they wouldn't be able to control her, as we clearly see at the end.
One of the things that I loved about the movie was all the changes they did. So Captain Marvel has just been poorly written in the comics. She hasn't had the best writing. I mean, from ever since her inception up till now, and I'll be honest, the only way I knew who she was when she was Miss Marvel was in an episode of the X-Men, the animated series.
Right, because that's Rogue got her powers.
Exactly.
It's because she stole Miss Marvel's powers.
I would always remember that because it was a crazy episode. Jean and Rogue together seal her into Rogue's mind. That was it. And then afterwards, I started reading the comics, and I always looked at Carol Danvers as the superheroine that wants to be part of the club. But it's just difficult, not just because on the page, if I told you this character can do X, Y, and Z, super strength, super power, you're like, oh my gosh, it's a superhero. But yet, she's very unapproachable, I would say. Just, I mean,
I don't know, I guess Marvel, up until, like, the MCU, I guess I feel like Marvel hasn't really marketed her that much. I know she's in that Avengers cartoon, was that Avengers Assemble, or...
well, she's in that.
Whatever that is. I at least on that side, I like the fact that she was fully clothed the entire movie.
As opposed to
wearing, I don't know, really skimpy armor that doesn't have straps.
Oh, man.
Strapless armor.
Is that what she wears? Does she have strap? Oh, that's...
No, I was talking about Wonder Woman.
Oh, okay. We can't... Look.
I know, but I love Wonder Woman, but I really hate her costume.
Whoa.
At least in the DC movie, because, I mean, I have a Wonder Woman Halloween costume, and... Yeah. Let me tell you, that thing is super cold and impractical. I'm like, how would you ever be able to fight people in this outfit?
Well, actually...
Maybe she can, because she's got superpowers, but I can't.
Well, she's an Amazon.
Yeah, I get that. I'm not saying, like, the clothing that they wear in the Wonder Woman movie was based on historical, like, female warriors clothing from, like, ancient Greek sort of time period. But
yeah,
the thing I just like that Carol is fully clothed, wearing very practical clothing the entire movie.
Well,
and there's no love interest, arguably. I know there's some people who are like, oh, the Maria, or what was her?
Monica Rambeau.
No, her mom. What was her mom's name?
What was her mom's name?
Yeah.
Annette Bening?
No.
I mean,
her friend.
Maria Rambeau.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
they're saying that they're like.
Is it Maria Rambeau? I'm gonna have to look this up.
Anyway, but I know a lot of people are like, oh, they're totally a couple, and I know there's a lot of people out there who are going full strength on that front.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them, but I mean, at the very least, there's no kind of overt sort of male-female love interest. Like, I know when I first saw that they had cast Jude Law in this movie, I thought, oh, he's gonna be Mar-Vell, because as I understand Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel lore, Mar-Vell was her love interest / the reason, like, kind of the source of her power, that she blood fuse, and that's how she gets her energy or something. Maybe. I thought he was gonna be the kind of sort of love interest in this movie when I saw it the first time, and they're that first 20 minutes or whatever when they're having a lot of...
Oh, it's Maria Rambeau. Yeah.
I was right the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that just shows kind of self-awareness of their casting of, like, okay, we want the people to think, like, Jude Law is a good guy. Or we want people to think Yon-Rogg is a good guy, so we're going to cast Jude Law.
Yeah.
We want people to think Talos is a bad guy, so we're going to cast Ben Mendelsohn.
Right.
And, of course, at the end, we find out that it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So, that Yanrog is the bad guy, which Jude Law pulls that off well.
Well,
And then Ben Mendelsohn pulls off, sympathetic, kind of anti-hero sort of guy as well. Even through his weird makeup or mask or whatever it was.
When as soon as they cast Jude Law, I went, okay, so he most likely will be Marvel, which, I'm like, okay.
And I actually like the fact that Marvel is a woman who she looked up to, who was like her mentor type person. Yes, Marvel was kind of the way she got her powers, but not in the way it is in the comics, where it's like the blood transfusion or whatever. It's like she gets her powers from the engine that she blows up. She actually gets her powers from this act of sacrifice that she was willing to, blow herself up just so that, to honor Marvel's sacrifice and make sure that these guys who had been attacking her didn't get whatever they wanted.
Her origin story, it's simpler. The original one, I believe there's this thing called a cyclomagnetron. I have no idea what that does. I probably need to look it up, but it goes off
It's
and...
when a bicycle powers a magnet that diffuses magnetic fields all over the world.
Hey, you know what? I'll take that. I'll be like, all right, that works. The cyclomagnetron explode and Marvel saves her. Some of his power just kind of irradiates onto her, and then she absorbs it. So this was just simple. Just like, okay, she was the cause of the Tesseract. I'm like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. So again, to me, it was for her to be that powerful. That kind of makes sense. It doesn't.
It kind of reminds me of Scarlet Witch. In
Yeah,
the
a little
same way
bit.
how Scarlet Witch got her powers from the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
Carol indirectly got hers from the Space Stone, the
Mhm.
Tesseract.
So to me, the way she got her powers didn't bother me so much. It was more of like, well, all right, that's if in this universe that's how it works. The reveal that Marvel's plan, which I thought that was interesting because halfway through the film, I started asking, where is this going in terms of what Marvel is a big character because there's that connection. What is the deal here? But then having the revelation at the end that Marvel was trying to find a way to just, to stop the war, but at the same time has this side of saving the Skrulls. Because in the comics, the Kree and the Skrulls they're
Hatfields and McCoys.
yeah, they're your Montagues and Capulets. Oh my gosh.
They're your allies and Axis powers.
Yes, they're what's another one that we can throw this? Bloods and your Crips. What's another?
I'm not gonna go
Oh, that's
here
not
there.
your Crusaders and. Okay, well, this analogy fell apart.
The Kansans and the Missourians.
Oh, okay, so really? That's a rivalry?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The border war? Come on,
The
man.
border. Okay.
Bleeding Kansas?
Bleeding Kansas.
Quantrill's raid on Lawrence? Alright, you need to brush up on
Yeah,
your
I'm out.
history.
Yeah. So yeah, so just
Since we were just talking about Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, man, that is a weird segue. But she is protecting. This is why I wanted the movie to be a little longer because I wanted more explanation on the war. But this is Carol's movie, so I get it. I really wanted more.
She's never called Captain Marvel at all during this entire film.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just wanted more. I think if I would say my criticism about this film was that it felt very rushed because there are things that I just wanted more of. I would have been okay if the movie was 3 hours. I would have been like, okay, I'm getting my money's worth, but also a more in-depth exploration of the character and the relationships that she had, what she's missed. Black Panther, I think, did it a little bit better. They introduced the character in the previous film, Civil War. You got a little taste of like, okay, this is who he is.
No, he's the best character in Civil War, in my opinion.
Man, that is.
He actually has an arc.
Yeah, he has an arc.
Or at least the best arc, the most complete arc.
Yeah. Were you Team Tony or Team Cap?
I didn't give a shit.
Oh come on, everybody.
I just love Black Panther.
Oh wow, it's like okay, it's like
yeah. By the way, I don't care.
I'm always Team Cap, just because. All in all, hey, look, you guys don't need necessarily our intake. The only thing I would say about this character is she's a great character. Had a couple of quibbles with the film. I wanted more. I honestly thought they should have introduced her maybe in another film. So when you go in to her movie. But
I like the fact that it was an origin story, but not in the way you would think. Because the second shot of the film, like right after she wakes up from her dream, boom, she has her powers, right? That's like the first thing we see her do on screen is use her powers.
Right.
And now it's like, this is not a movie about her acquiring her powers. This is a movie about her realizing that she had so much freaking potential, and all these little turds around her were dampening her and holding her back and wanting to manipulate her and use her for their own ends.
And it's one of those films like everything.
And she tears them apart and she says, F you.
I mean, it's one of those movies where I feel as though you cannot talk about it without the overlining tone that's going through it, which is just, I feel, and again, I may be wrong on this one, and I'm perfectly okay with that being the case, but I don't think I can.
I feel like she doesn't want others to be oppressed the way that she's been oppressed. That
By
she's been
men.
held back and she's been. Yes, primarily by men.
Right.
Yes.
Let's
but
be
I mean,
honest.
like, that's one of the reasons I think she, ends up helping out the Skrulls is because she sees the injustice that's been done to them. And she, if you, like, watch the movie and, like, the whole time when, she volunteers to be the ace for Marvel, and she's like, if there's lives on the line, like, I need to be in the cockpit. Like, I need to be... She wants to take action. She wants to help people. That's what drives her as a hero and as a character is this like overwhelming need to help others.
Do you feel like she's coming a little too strong on this one though? In as much as the need to validate that I can do this, not just because I'm capable of, but also as a woman. Is that anyway? Is that something?
I mean, I don't feel like there was ever a time in the movie where she's like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna prove that I, a woman, can do this.
Well, I mean, like, I don't think she ever meant it to say it that way, but it felt like that.
I mean, it's almost like she doesn't remember the injustice that was done to her. The discrimination. Like, she has those memories of like, being in flight school and the pilots making the comments of like, why it's called a cockpit, don't you?
Man,
And
there was a lot there.
and the whole like laughing at her
weird.
on the obstacle course, but she doesn't really remember that.
I think, see, those moments,
Or maybe, it comes back to her, but slowly.
See, I this is one of those things where I was a little, again, I come at this with the idea that I would have wanted to see maybe other female cadets in there, maybe talk more about why she can't fly, the program that Marvel under, I forgot the name, well, Annette Bening's character, I'm just going to say it. There was a talk about that we can't fly and everything. And this is, again...
Well, they couldn't fly combat.
They couldn't fly combat. And maybe just explain more about that or what was happening. I mean, it's 1995, so I do understand the time and everything.
Well, what it took place in 95, but she had disappeared.
Oh, 6 years prior, so it was
89?
89 maybe? Yeah. So,
Yeah, I don't think women flew combat until the Gulf War.
You know what? That might actually be something I need to look into.
Actually, I think one of the first women who did fly combat is now like a U.S. senator or congresswoman or something.
I think so. I might have to look into it, but yeah. So maybe talk a bit more about that, or maybe what her aspirations were as to why she wanted to fly. Because if Mark Bernardin, I listen to and follow, and is also a friend of Kevin Smith, said that you probably should talk about that because at the end when she flies, it's the girl that couldn't fly finally learns to fly, because then there's such an emotional payoff. Throughout the film, especially in her memories, that's all she wanted to. But here are the obstacles, which is she wasn't able to do this, she wasn't able to do that, but she kept persevering. And so finally, one of her dreams was she wanted to fly, and the girl who couldn't fly finally can fly. Then that scene at the end, when she's just wrecking everything, would be like, yes! So it's
Again, she's not able to fly combat. She was obviously able to fly the plane.
Right, she's not able to fly.
There was only so much she could do.
Right, and maybe also wanted more when... Okay, you know what? I lied. There's another quibble that I have with this.
Wow, really?
the Supreme Intelligence. Just give me the giant head. Like, I know it's dumb, but...
I actually like the fact that... And actually, I thought of this later. So, there's the whole kind of recurring thing that they bring up with Yanrog about who he sees when he visits the Supreme Intelligence.
Yeah.
And how Carol says, like, is it me? Like, and he never confirms or denies that it is. But I think it would be kind of funny if it was, because then at the end when she's like, tell the Supreme Intelligence, I'm coming for the Kree. And it's like, what if he sees her when he visits the Supreme Intelligence? And he's like, yeah, so you Carol, are coming for the Kree.
I thought that would be
like
torment.
He's looking at her and he's telling her she's coming for us.
I think it would just...
Maybe. Again, it's never confirmed or denied, but I just thought it would be kind of funny if that's what happens.
Yeah.
And especially now, because with her powers and with her being such a badass, maybe he admires her more than anybody else now.
I don't know.
I kind of want them to come back.
Okay, so you want that? So are you shipping those?
No, I'm
That's
not.
the term,
I'm not
right?
shipping them. I think their dynamics interesting. I want to see more Kree and Skrulls.
Yeah, that's cool. I really Monica Rambeau, the little girl. Okay, so this movie sets up two movies that I potentially would want to see in a heartbeat.
Although, didn't Feige confirm that they're gonna have Kamala Khan as Miss Marvel?
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
So we're not gonna get Monica Rambeau.
Here is what I think they should do.
They should do Marvelverse.
No, they should do
Captain Marvelverse.
No, they should do A-Force. It's an all-female Avengers team that has all these interesting characters. There is, wait, they have the rights to it. Okay, there's Medusa from the Inhumans. There's She-Hulk. There's Captain Marvel. There is, I think there's Monica Rambeau.
Scarlet Witch.
It's this really cool thing, but it ran for, I think there's only a couple trades of it. But yeah, that'd be kind of cool. So I would want to
get on it, Marvel.
Yeah. So
stop being cowards. Give us A-Force. Whatever that is.
Give us
a Scarlet Witch movie, damn it.
So anyway, on that note, this is gonna do it for this episode. Thanks for hanging out and listening to us. And I hope you like the drawing. The illustration it's just fun, pop, good time, and yeah. I'd like to thank my lovely co-host and guest, Corinne.
Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.